The security guard's hand hits Michael Jordan's chest. Not a push, not quite. Just firm enough to stop forward momentum. Just deliberate enough to communicate ownership of this space, this door, this moment. "Sorry, buddy. Private event." The words hang in the Chicago night air like vapor. Around them, the city pulses with Friday energy. Car horns, distant laughter, the bass thump from inside the club bleeding through brick walls. The line of people waiting behind velvet ropes has gone silent. Phones rise like a forest of glowing rectangles. Michael Jordan, six-time NBA champion, global icon, the man whose silhouette sells billions in merchandise, stands on a sidewalk outside his own party, blocked by a man making $15 an hour. His expression doesn't change. Not yet. That comes later. The security guard, Marcus Williams, is 23 years old, 6'2", 230 pounds of contracted authority. He's been on the job for 3 weeks. They told him nobody gets in without being on the list. They told him check every ID, no exceptions. They told him celebrities will try to skip the line. Hold firm. They did not tell him what Michael Jordan looks like in person. At night, arriving casually in jeans and a black leather jacket instead of a three-piece suit. "I'm on the list," Michael says. His voice is quiet, patient, the tone of someone who has learned through decades of fame that the first response should always be gentle. Give people a chance to correct their mistake before the situation escalates. Marcus shakes his head. His jaw is set. His supervisor is watching from inside. This is his moment to prove he can handle VIPs trying to circumvent protocol. "I need to see ID and confirmation you're on the guest list." Behind Michael, his business partner David Chen has gone rigid. David knows what's happening. David can see the phone's recording. David is calculating the exact number of seconds before this becomes an international headline. Marcus, David's voice has an edge of warning. "Do you know who?" Michael raises one hand. "Stop. Let me handle this. This is the moment that will be analyzed for weeks. This is the decision point." Michael Jordan could pull out his ID, could call the event organizer, could let David intervene, could smile for the cameras and turn the awkwardness into a charming anecdote. Instead, he chooses option 5. He waits. 3 seconds. 5. 10. The silence becomes its own kind of statement. People in line start whispering. Someone's live stream hits 1,000 viewers. A woman in a red dress gasps and covers her mouth when she recognizes him. And inside the club, through windows overlooking the entrance, someone else is watching. Richard Castellano, owner of Castellano Entertainment Group, the man who hired Marcus Williams 3 weeks ago, the man who is hosting this VIP event in partnership with Michael Jordan's brand, the man whose blood is currently draining from his face as he realizes what his new security guard has just done. What happened next didn't just end one man's career. It exposed an entire industry's systemic failure in training, oversight, and the dangerous assumption that authority can substitute for awareness. 6 hours earlier, the Castellano building stands on North Michigan Avenue like a glass and steel monument to excess. 42 stories of premium event spaces, corporate headquarters, and exclusive clubs. Richard Castellano built his empire on one core principle: create spaces where the wealthy feel special, then charge them accordingly. His office occupies the entire top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame Chicago like a conquered territory. The furniture costs more than most people's cars. The art on the walls is the kind featured in Sotheby's catalogs. Richard is on his 3rd espresso of the afternoon, reviewing final details for tonight's event. The Jordan brand exclusive launch party, limited to 200 guests, athletes, celebrities, media influencers, industry executives, the kind of gathering that generates millions in publicity value. His phone buzzes. Michael Jordan's team, confirming arrival time, 10 p.m., casual entrance, no press line. Richard types back, perfect. Security briefed, red carpet treatment. He does not, in this moment, consider actually verifying that last sentence. Downstairs, in the basement security office, Marcus Williams is studying his clipboard. He's new to this. New to Chicago, actually. Arrived from Milwaukee 6 weeks ago chasing better opportunities. The Castellano Group job seemed like a break. Decent pay, professional environment, potential for advancement. His supervisor, Kyle Barrett, is 28 and burned out. 5 years in event security has taught him that most of the job involves looking intimidating while wealthy people ignore you. He hands Marcus the guest list without much ceremony. Standard protocol, Kyle says, scrolling through his phone. Check IDs. Nobody gets in without confirmation. The VIPs will usually come through the main entrance between 9 and 10. They'll have handlers, assistants, that kind of thing. Just stay firm. Half of them will try to skip the process. Marcus studies the list, 200 names. He recognizes maybe 15. Athletes, models, a few actors, several corporate executives with titles he doesn't fully understand. Michael Jordan is on the list, obviously, but Marcus has only seen him in commercials, Nike ads with dramatic lighting, highlights from basketball games. Marcus was too young to watch live, the abstract concept of celebrity, not the reality of what the man looks like at 59 years old, arriving casually after dinner. What if someone says they're on the list, but I don't see their name? Marcus asks. Kyle doesn't look up from his phone. Call me. I'll verify with the event coordinator. But honestly, stick to the script. Most problems solve themselves if you just hold the line. This advice, hold the line, will echo through Marcus's mind 4 hours from now when he makes the worst decision of his professional life. The party begins. By 9 p.m., the club is transformed. Purple and gold lighting washes over white leather furniture. Champagne towers sparkle on crystal platforms. A DJ booth rises from the floor like a spaceship command center, music pulsing through speakers that cost more than a semester of college tuition. The first guests arrive fashionably late. A WNBA star in a gold dress, a rapper whose single just hit #1, a tech CEO who sold his company for 9 figures and is spending his nouveau-rich status on proximity to athletic royalty. Richard Castellano works the room like a conductor. Handshakes, air kisses, practiced laughter, every interaction calculated to make the guest feel special while reinforcing his position as gatekeeper to this exclusive world. At 9:47 p.m., his phone buzzes. Michael Jordan's driver. 5 minutes out, Richard's chest swells. This is the moment the party crystallizes from successful to legendary. When Michael walks in, when the crowd parts, when phones rise and Instagram stories explode, that's when Richard's investment pays off. That's when Castellano Entertainment Group cements itself as the premier event company for celebrity brand launches. He checks his reflection in a decorative mirror, straightens his tie, heads toward the entrance to personally greet Jordan. But he makes a crucial error. He assumes his security team has been properly briefed. He assumes Kyle Barrett, his head of security, has shown Marcus Williams recent photos of every major VIP on tonight's list. He assumes that basic competence, the kind he would demand from every other department, has been executed in the security division. Richard Castellano has built a fortune on details. Tonight, he forgets to verify one. Outside, Marcus Williams takes his position at the entrance. The velvet ropes, the clipboard, the earpiece connecting him to Kyle, who's monitoring security cameras inside. A black SUV pulls up to the curb. The Confrontation Michael Jordan steps onto the sidewalk. He's dressed down, deliberately so. Black jeans, leather jacket, white sneakers from his own line, worn and comfortable. After decades of arriving at events in designer suits, he's learned that true power is being able to show up however you want. David Chen, his business partner for tonight's brand collaboration, emerges from the passenger side. David is in his 40s, Korean-American, sharp-dressed in the way of people who understand that looking wealthy opens doors. They approach the entrance casually. No entourage, no bodyguards. Michael specifically requested low-key arrival. He's been to 10,000 events. He knows the routine. Marcus sees two men approaching. His training kicks in. Check the list. Verify identity. Maintain perimeter. The problem is, he doesn't recognize either of them. Michael Jordan looks different in person, older than his playing days. His face is more weathered. His hairline has receded. Without the context of a basketball court or a Nike commercial, without the mental framework that says, "This is Michael Jordan." He's just a well-dressed man in his late 50s approaching a private event. Marcus steps forward. His body language is professional but firm. This is what they trained him to do. "Evening, gentlemen. This is a private event. I'll need to see your names on the guest list and valid ID." David reaches for his wallet immediately. He's been through this before. Overzealous security at events. The tedious process of verification, annoying but standard. Michael pauses. Something in the security guard's tone registers. The complete lack of recognition. The formulaic delivery. This isn't a man who knows who he is and is asking for ID as a procedural formality. This is a man who genuinely doesn't recognize him. "I'm on the list," Michael says, keeping his voice neutral. "Michael Jordan." Marcus scans his clipboard. He finds the name, but here's where training fails him. Here's where 3 weeks of employment and Kyle Barrett's vague instructions about holding the line override common sense. The name on the list says Michael Jordan, but the man in front of him is just a guy in jeans. Marcus has been warned about people claiming to be celebrities. He's been told that his job security depends on following protocol. "I need to see ID." He repeats. His hand, and this is the moment that will be screenshotted, memed, analyzed. His hand extends slightly, not quite touching Michael's chest, but close enough to establish physical boundary, close enough to communicate. "You don't proceed without my approval." The crowd behind the velvet rope has gone silent. David's eyes widen. "Marcus, hey man, do you know who—" "I don't care who he says he is." Marcus interrupts. He's committed now. Can't back down without looking weak. Can't admit confusion without undermining his authority. Protocol is protocol. ID and confirmation. Michael Jordan stands perfectly still. His expression doesn't reveal anger. Not yet. It reveals something more dangerous. Assessment. He's reading the situation. Calculating. Every person watching. Every phone recording. Every second this extends becomes a story. Inside his mind, a decision tree branches. Option 1, pull out his ID, prove his identity. Walk past this kid who doesn't know better, laugh it off, move on. Option 2, call Richard Castellano. Let the event owner handle his own security failure. Create a scene that embarrasses everyone but gets resolved quickly. Option 3, leave. Walk away. Make the statement that if he's not recognized at his own branded event, then maybe this partnership isn't the right fit. Option 4. Wait. Let the situation collapse under its own absurdity. See how long it takes for someone inside to notice. Let the organizational failure expose itself completely. Michael chooses option 4. He doesn't move. Doesn't argue. Doesn't reach for his wallet. He waits. The silence stretches. 10 seconds. 15. 20. David is sweating. His hand hovers near his phone. Should he call Richard? Should he call someone from Jordan's PR team? Should he just physically pull Michael past the security guard and deal with the fallout later? Behind them, a woman in the line gasps, "Oh my God! That's actually Michael Jordan." Another voice. Is that guard seriously not letting him in? Phones rise. Instagram live notifications ping. Twitter threads begin spawning in real time. Marcus hears the murmurs. His confidence wavers. He glances at his clipboard. The name is right there. Michael Jordan. But the man in front of him is so ordinary, so casual, so unlike the mythologized figure from commercials and highlight reels. "Sir," Marcus says, and now there's a slight crack in his authority. "I just need to verify." That's when the door behind him explodes open. The recognition. Richard Castellano emerges, like a man whose house is on fire. He's been watching security camera feeds from inside. He saw the SUV arrive, saw two men approach, saw his security guard step forward. At first, he thought, "Good, Marcus is doing his job." Then he saw the crowd reaction, saw phones rising, saw the still patient stance of the man in the leather jacket. Recognition hit like ice water. "Marcus!" Richard's voice isn't loud. It's worse than loud. It's the cold fury of someone whose entire professional reputation is cracking in real time. He crosses the 15 feet between the door and the entrance in 4 seconds. His face has gone from tanned confidence to pale dread. "Mr. Jordan." Richard's voice is strangled. "I'm so incredibly sorry. There's been a—" "Marcus, step aside. Right now." Marcus finally understands. The way his boss's voice has gone thin with panic. The way David Chen has shaken his head in disbelief. The way Michael Jordan is still standing perfectly still. Expression unreadable. He's made a catastrophic mistake. Marcus steps back. His clipboard hangs uselessly at his side. "I was just following protocol. Inside." Richard snaps at him. "Now, Kyle will handle the door." Marcus retreats. His ears are ringing. Through the entrance, he can see other security staff staring at him. Some look sympathetic. Most look horrified. They all recognized Michael Jordan from the cameras. They all watched this unfold. They all know that Marcus Williams' career in Chicago event security just ended. Richard turns back to Michael. His hands are raised in supplication. "Mr. Jordan." "Michael, I cannot apologize enough. This is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. This young man is new. He wasn't properly briefed on the VIP list. This is entirely our organizational failure." Michael Jordan finally moves. He adjusts his jacket collar, looks at the crowd of onlookers with their phones out, looks at David, who's still frozen in secondhand mortification, looks at Richard Castellano, whose entire empire is balanced on how the next 30 seconds unfold. "Richard," Michael says quietly, "we need to talk. It's not a request." Richard nods frantically. "Of course, absolutely. Please, come inside. VIP section is ready. Anything you need." "I'll personally not here." Michael glances at the crowd again. More phones, more recording. This is going viral already. The moment requires containment, but also consequences. Your office, 15 minutes. You, me, and whoever's responsible for security, hiring, and training. Richard's throat moves as he swallows. "Of course. Absolutely. Whatever you need." Michael finally steps past the entrance. The crowd parts automatically. Inside the club, conversations have died. 200 guests stand in awkward silence, watching a situation they don't fully understand but recognize as monumentally significant. David follows close behind, his phone already buzzing with calls from Jordan Brand PR team who have seen the social media explosion beginning. Richard Castellano stands at the entrance, watching his flagship event implode in slow motion. The party will continue. The guests will eventually resume drinking and networking. But the story, the narrative that will dominate every entertainment blog and sports news site tomorrow is already written. Security guard blocks Michael Jordan from his own party. In the basement security office, Marcus Williams sits in a plastic chair, staring at nothing. Kyle Barrett is on the phone, voice rising in defensive explanations. Other security staff avoid eye contact. Marcus replays the moment, the hand on Michael's chest, the firm voice, the absolute certainty that he was doing his job correctly. His phone buzzes. Text from his girlfriend. "Babe, you're all over Twitter. What happened?" He doesn't respond. What can he say? The meeting, Richard Castellano's office, has never felt smaller. Michael Jordan sits in the leather chair facing the desk. His posture is relaxed, but his eyes are active, cataloging details, reading the room, absorbing every element of power dynamic. David Chen stands near the window, arms crossed, playing the role of witness and advisor. Richard sits behind his desk, trying to project authority despite the fact that his hands are trembling. Kyle Barrett, head of security, stands near the door looking like he wants to evaporate. "Tell me how this happens," Michael says. No preamble, no small talk. How does your security guard not know who I am at an event with my name on it? Richard opens his mouth, closes it, looks at Kyle. Kyle clears his throat. Mr. Jordan, I take full responsibility. Marcus Williams is new to the team. He was hired 3 weeks ago through our standard contractor service. The briefing he received should have included photo identification of all major VIPs. That's our standard protocol. Should have, Michael repeats, but didn't. The briefing was abbreviated. Kyle admits his voice is getting quieter. We've been understaffed. Training has been condensed. I personally handed him the guest list, but I didn't verify that he knew who everyone was. I assumed he would recognize major figures. You assumed. Michael lets the word hang. Do you know how many times I've been blocked, questioned, followed in stores, pulled over, treated like I don't belong, even after 3 decades of being the most recognizable athlete on the planet? The question isn't rhetorical. It's an invitation to understand scale. Kyle doesn't answer. There is no good answer. Richard tries to intervene. Michael, I promise you, this is not representative of how we operate. We have hosted hundreds of events. This has never happened before. This is an isolated incident of inadequate training, and it's not isolated, Michael interrupts. His voice is still quiet, but now there's steel underneath. This is systemic. You cut costs on security training. You hire people through contractor services, so you don't have to invest in real onboarding. You assume that a clipboard and an earpiece make someone qualified. And when something goes wrong, you call it an isolated incident instead of recognizing the pattern. David steps forward. Richard, can I see your security training materials? The actual onboarding documents your contractors receive? Richard hesitates. That hesitation tells them everything. There's a standardized handbook, he says carefully. All contractors receive it digitally when they're hired. It covers basic protocol, emergency procedures, dress code, photo identification of VIPs, David presses. That's typically handled verbally by supervisors during shift briefing. Typically, Michael says, but not always. Richard doesn't respond. Michael stands. He walks to the window, looks down at Michigan Avenue 42 stories below. The city glitters. From up here, the chaos at the entrance is invisible. The social media storm brewing, the embarrassment spreading. The phone's recording Marcus Williams blocking Michael Jordan. From up here, it's easy to pretend nothing is wrong. Here's what's going to happen, Michael says, still facing the window. That kid downstairs, Marcus, he doesn't get fired. Richard's head snaps up. What? He followed the instructions he was given. He did his job the way your inadequate training taught him to do it. Firing him makes him the scapegoat for your organizational failure. Kyle looks confused. Mr. Jordan, with all respect, he physically blocked you from an event where nobody showed him what I look like. Michael turns back to face them. Where nobody verified he understood the guest list, where nobody ensured he had the tools to do his job effectively. He made a mistake, but the real mistake was yours. Richard is sweating. So, what do you want? Michael's expression is unreadable. I want you to fix the system. Real training, real onboarding, photo IDs for all VIP guests provided to security at least 24 hours before events. I want Marcus Williams to go through the revised training program and keep his job if he completes it successfully. And I want you to audit every other contractor service you use to see where else you're cutting corners. That's extensive, Richard says carefully. That kind of overhaul would be expensive, not as expensive as the lawsuit I could file, David notes mildly, or the publicity damage that's already happening. Michael sits back down. But here's the thing, Richard. I'm not interested in destroying your business. I'm interested in making sure this doesn't happen again. Not to me. Not to anyone else who might not have the platform to push back. The words land like stones, because everyone in the room knows if this had happened to someone less famous, less powerful, less capable of demanding accountability, it would have been dismissed. The guest would have been turned away. The organizational failure would have remained. Hidden. I'll do it, Richard says. His voice is hoarse. Complete overhaul. Training protocols. VIP identification systems. Everything. And Marcus keeps his job. Michael confirms. Yes, he'll go through the new training. If he passes, he stays on. Michael stands. David follows his lead. One more thing. Michael says at the door, I want a written report in 2 weeks showing exactly what changes you've made. I want documentation. Proof that this wasn't just a promise you make tonight and forget tomorrow. Richard nods. You'll have it. They leave without further ceremony. In the elevator down, David lets out a long breath. That was restrained of you. Michael's expression finally cracks into something resembling a smile. I learned a long time ago, you can destroy someone in the moment, or you can force them to actually change. One feels good. The other matters. The elevator opens on the main floor. The party is still happening. Music pulses. People drink and network and pretend they didn't just witness something awkward. Michael walks through the crowd. Now, people part with recognition. Now, conversations stop. Now, everyone knows exactly who he is. He orders a drink, stands near the DJ booth, lets himself be seen enjoying the event despite the entry debacle. David watches, understanding the strategy. If Michael had left, the story would be Jordan, snubbed by security, storms out. By staying, by visibly enjoying himself, the narrative shifts to Jordan handles security mix-up with grace, demands systematic change. The next morning, headlines will write themselves. The aftermath. Marcus Williams sits in his apartment, scrolling through social media. The videos have millions of views. Security guard blocks Michael Jordan is trending on Twitter. Reddit threads dissect every second. TikTok has turned it into a meme. Screenshots of Marcus's hand extended toward Michael with captions like, when you have one job and POV, you're about to get fired in. 4K, but buried in the comments, a counter-narrative is emerging. Honestly, the guard was just doing his job. Why didn't the venue show him photos of VIPs? This is a training failure, not a security failure. Jordan handled this really well. He didn't get the kid fired. Marcus reads that last one 3 times. He didn't get the kid fired. His phone rings. Unknown number. He almost doesn't answer. Marcus Williams, this is Jennifer Park from Castellano Entertainment HR. We need you to come in tomorrow for a meeting about revised security training protocols. His stomach drops. Am I being terminated? No, Jennifer says, and there's something in her voice. Surprise? Maybe respect. Mr. Jordan specifically requested you be included in the new training program. You'll be helping us implement changes to prevent this kind of situation in the future. After she hangs up, Marcus sits in stunned silence. He blocked Michael Jordan. He made international news. He became a meme. And instead of being destroyed, he's been given a second chance to do better. 2 weeks later, Richard Castellano's office. Same view, different atmosphere. Michael Jordan sits across the desk again, this time reviewing a document, 23 pages. Security Training Protocol Revision, Full Implementation Plan. It includes digital VIP recognition database with photos updated 48 hours before all events. Mandatory 4-day training program for all security contractors. Real-time communication system between security team and event coordinators, quarterly refresher training with case studies, anonymous reporting system for staff to flag inadequate briefings, financial investment, $340,000 in first-year implementation. Michael reads every word, flips to the appendices, studies the implementation timeline. This is good, he finally says. This is actually good. Richard exhales. He's lost weight. The last 2 weeks have been brutal. Media scrutiny, board meetings, emergency consultations with PR teams. But he's done the work. Marcus Williams completed the new training program. Richard adds, top scores. He's actually showing real potential as a team leader. We're considering promoting him to shift supervisor next quarter. Michael nods. Send me updates. I want to see 6-month and 1-year reports on how this is working in practice. You'll have them." They shake hands. This time, it feels earned. 6 months later, the Castellano building hosts another VIP event, a tech CEO's product launch. Different guest list, different vibe, same venue. Marcus Williams stands at the entrance. He's wearing a new uniform, the shift supervisor designation. He holds a tablet instead of a clipboard. On the screen, photos and bios of every VIP expected tonight. A car pulls up. A woman in her 40s steps out. She's dressed casually, jeans, blazer, minimal makeup. She approaches the entrance with confidence. Marcus glances at his tablet, recognizes her immediately from the photo. Sarah Chen, CEO of the hosting company. He sees past the casual clothes to the identity beneath. "Ms. Chen," he says with a professional smile. "Welcome. Your team has been setting up in the East Wing. Can I escort you inside?" She looks surprised. "You knew who I was?" "Part of the job, ma'am." As she walks past, she pauses. "You're Marcus Williams, the security guard from the Jordan incident." His jaw tightens slightly. It still stings. Still gets brought up. Still follows him. "Yes, ma'am." She studies him for a moment. "I read about what happened after. The training overhaul, the systematic changes. That took guts. Jordan's for demanding it. Yours for sticking around to be part of the solution." Marcus doesn't know what to say. "Keep doing what you're doing," she says. Then she's gone, into the event, leaving Marcus at his post. He looks down at his tablet, swipes through the VIP photos. Each one memorized. Each one understood not just as a name on a list, but as a human being who deserves to be recognized. The system isn't perfect, but it's better. And that, in the end, is what Michael Jordan demanded. Not perfection, not revenge, just measurable, documented, systematic improvement. 1 year later, Michael Jordan sits in a conference room at his Chicago office. His brand managers are reviewing the Castellano building incident's long-term impact. The video still circulates. One manager notes, "It's become a case study in business schools, how to handle organizational failure, how to demand accountability without destroying people, how to turn a PR disaster into a story about growth." Michael listens. He's heard these reports before. Castellano Entertainment has implemented the same training protocols across all their venues. Another manager continues. "They're actually marketing it as a competitive advantage. Industry-leading security training. They've licensed the program to 3 other event companies." "Good," Michael says simply. Marcus Williams got promoted to regional security coordinator. He's now training new contractors across all Castellano properties. Michael nods. This is the part that matters. The individual whose mistake could have destroyed him instead became the face of the systematic improvement. "What's our relationship with Castellano looking like?" Michael asks. "Strong. They're interested in hosting the next Jordan brand event. They want to prove they've earned back trust." Michael considers this. The easy path would be to never work with them again, to let the incident remain a cautionary tale. But the harder path, the one that actually changes things, is to acknowledge growth when it's real. "Set it up," he says, "but I want to see their updated training materials first, and I want Marcus Williams on the security team." His managers exchange glances. Bold choice, but they've learned. Michael Jordan's instincts for turning moments into movements are usually right. The party, year 2. The invitation reads, "Jordan Brand. Exclusive, Chicago Reimagined." Same building, same venue. 2 years after the incident, Michael Jordan arrives at 10 p.m. Casual clothes, leather jacket, no fanfare. Marcus Williams stands at the entrance. He sees the SUV pull up, recognizes it before the door opens. When Michael approaches, Marcus is already smiling. "Mr. Jordan," he says, "welcome back. We're honored to host you." Michael extends his hand. They shake. "Marcus, heard you've been doing good work, Trying to, sir. That's all any of us can do. Michael starts to walk past, then pauses. You know what I learned from that night? Marcus waits. Systems fail when people at the top assume everyone at the bottom knows what they know. You did your job with the information you had. It was everyone else's job to make sure you had the right information. I still should have recognized you, Marcus says quietly. Maybe, but you know what's more important than recognizing me? Recognizing that when you don't know something, the answer isn't to bluff and block. It's to ask and verify. Michael's expression softens. You learned that. A lot of people in your position wouldn't have stuck around to learn. They would have let pride or shame drive them away. Marcus feels something in his chest unclench. He's carried the weight of that mistake for 2 years. Every video replay, every meme, every time someone recognizes him and brings it up. Thank you, sir, is all he can manage. Michael nods and walks inside. The party unfolds perfectly. No incidents, no drama, just a successful event where every system works the way it's supposed to. At the end of the night, Richard Castellano makes a brief speech thanking sponsors and partners. He doesn't mention the incident from 2 years ago. He doesn't need to. Everyone in the room knows the history. Everyone understands what it took to get from there to here. When Michael leaves at 1 a.m., Marcus is still at the entrance. They exchange a final nod. No cameras. This time. No phones recording. No viral moment, just two men who understand what it took to turn a disaster into growth. The legacy. The incident becomes part of event security training across the industry. Business schools use it as a case study in crisis management. The key teaching points. 1. Individual mistakes usually reveal systemic failures. 2. True accountability means fixing systems, not just punishing people. 3. Power can be used to destroy or transform. Choose transformation. 4. The hardest path, demanding change, often matters more than the satisfying path, demanding revenge. Marcus Williams speaks at security industry conferences. His TED-style talk, The Day I Blocked Michael Jordan, has 2 million views. He talks about the weight of viral humiliation, the grace of second chances, and the responsibility of learning from failure. Castellano Entertainment Group becomes an industry leader in security training. Their protocols are adopted by venues across North America. The initial $340,000 investment generates millions in contract value as other companies want their level of professionalism. And Michael Jordan, who has faced countless incidents of not being recognized, not being respected, not being allowed in spaces despite his status, uses his platform to prove a point. You can burn down someone's career in a moment, or you can demand they build something better. One satisfies the ego, the other changes the industry. 3 years later, Michael Jordan is interviewed for a sports documentary. The interviewer inevitably brings up the Castellano building incident. Looking back, what was going through your mind when that security guard blocked you? Michael leans back, considers the question. Honestly, in that first moment, nothing. I was just tired. I'd flown in from a board meeting. I wanted to grab a drink, see some friends, support the event. The last thing I wanted was drama. But you didn't just walk away. No, because I realized something. Standing there. If I walked away, that kid would probably get fired. The company would issue some vague apology. Nothing would actually change. And the next time something similar happened, maybe to someone with less power, less platform, it would just be dismissed. So, you used your leverage. I used my platform to demand accountability, not punishment. Accountability. There's a difference. The interviewer nods. Marcus Williams, the security guard, he's doing well now. Regional coordinator, speaks at conferences. Seems like it worked out. For him, yeah. But the real measure isn't whether one person succeeded. It's whether the system improved. Whether other venues looked at what happened and thought, we need to fix this in our organization too. And did they? Michael smiles. Based on the number of event companies who've reached out asking for our security training recommendations, yeah, they did. The documentary cuts to Marcus Williams, speaking from his current office. I think about that night constantly. Marcus says. Not because I'm haunted by it, though I was for a long time, but because it taught me something fundamental about leadership and accountability. Mr. Jordan could have destroyed me. Instead, he demanded that I, and everyone responsible for training me, become better. That kind of grace combined with accountability, that's rare. That's worth learning from. 5 years later, the incident has transcended its origin story. It's referenced in HR training about proper onboarding, in leadership seminars about constructive accountability, in social media courses about crisis management. The original video still surfaces occasionally, usually accompanied by updates about Marcus Williams' career growth and Castellanos' transformed security protocols. Michael Jordan rarely thinks about it anymore. It was one moment in a lifetime of moments, but when asked, he stands by the decision. You can't control whether people make mistakes, he tells a group of young entrepreneurs at a business summit. Mistakes will happen. What you can control is whether those mistakes become learning opportunities or just casualties, whether you use your power to punish or transform. Every time you choose transformation, you ripple outward. You change not just the person who made the mistake, but everyone watching how you handle it. A young woman in the audience raises her hand. But what if the mistake was really bad? What if you feel disrespected? Michael's expression is thoughtful. Disrespect hurts. I won't pretend it doesn't. But here's what I learned over decades of being underestimated, overlooked, blocked from places I should have been welcomed. Your response to disrespect defines you more than the disrespect itself. You can react from ego, or you can respond from purpose. Ego feels good in the moment. Purpose creates change that lasts. Present day, Marcus Williams stands outside the Castellano building. He's 42 now. Regional Director of Security Operations. He oversees training for 200-plus security personnel across 12 venues. His phone pings. A notification from LinkedIn. Someone tagged him in a post about effective crisis management. The incident. Again. He used to cringe when it came up. Now he accepts it. The worst moment of his professional life became the foundation of his career's greatest success. Not because he avoided consequences, but because he learned from them. Inside, his team is preparing for tonight's event. He reviews the VIP database on his tablet. Every face, every name, every detail. One of his newer team members, a young woman named Jessica, approaches nervously. "Sir, can I ask you something?" "Of course. The Michael Jordan incident. Do you ever wish it hadn't happened?" Marcus considers the question. 5 years ago, I would have said yes. Absolutely. It was humiliating. It was painful. I became a viral joke. And now I understand it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Not because I wanted to block Michael Jordan from his own party. That part still makes me wince. But because of how everyone responded after. Mr. Jordan could have gotten me fired and moved on. Instead, he demanded systematic change and gave me a chance to be part of it. That taught me more about leadership than any training manual ever could. Jessica nods slowly. So, mistakes can be good? Mistakes are inevitable. Marcus corrects. What matters is what you do after. Do you hide? Blame others? Refuse to learn? Or do you take responsibility, accept grace when it's offered, and become better? The event begins. Everything runs smoothly. VIPs are recognized. Security is professional but unobtrusive. The system works. At the end of the night, Marcus does his final walkthrough. The venue is empty now. Cleaning crews work quietly. The energy has dissipated. He stands at the entrance where it happened, the spot where he blocked Michael Jordan 5 years ago, the exact location where his life split into before and after. His phone buzzes. Email from Richard Castellano. Another flawless event. Your leadership made the difference. Thank you. Marcus replies, "Team effort. Thanks for the opportunity." As he walks to his car, he thinks about Michael Jordan's words from that night in the office. You can destroy someone in the moment, or you can force them to actually change. One feels good. The other matters. 5 years later, Marcus Williams is living proof that the second option works. not just for him, for everyone who watched, everyone who learned, everyone who saw power used not to punish, but to transform. The final reflection. The story of the security guard who blocked Michael Jordan from his own VIP party could have ended a dozen different ways. It could have ended with Marcus Williams fired and forgotten. A cautionary tale, a viral moment that destroys a life. It could have ended with Castellano Entertainment Group issuing a shallow apology and changing nothing. A PR crisis managed, then buried. It could have ended with Michael Jordan leaving in anger, never working with the venue again. A burned bridge, a relationship destroyed. Instead, it ended with systematic change. Real training protocols, real accountability measures, real investment in the people responsible for security. It ended with Marcus Williams not just keeping his job, but thriving, growing, becoming a leader who teaches others the lessons he learned the hard way. It ended with an entire industry examining its training practices and asking, could this happen here? And if so, what do we need to fix? That's the difference between revenge and transformation. Revenge satisfies. Transformation endures. Michael Jordan understood this because he'd spent decades facing similar moments, being underestimated, being blocked from spaces he belonged, being questioned despite his credentials. He could have collected those injustices like wounds, could have used his power to punish everyone who didn't immediately recognize his greatness. Instead, he turned them into teaching moments, into demands for systemic improvement, into opportunities for people to learn and grow. The security guard who blocked him didn't become a cautionary tale. He became a success story, and the building where it happened didn't become a place to avoid. It became a model for how to handle mistakes with grace and accountability. Epilogue. What we can learn. The incident teaches us several lessons. On mistakes, they're inevitable. The measure of character isn't avoiding them, it's how you respond when they happen. On power. Having it means choosing whether to use it destructively or constructively. Michael Jordan had the power to destroy careers. He chose transformation instead. On accountability. Real accountability means fixing systems, not just punishing individuals. Marcus Williams made a mistake, but it was the system that failed him first. On second chances, they have to be earned through learning and growth. Marcus didn't just keep his job, he proved he deserved the opportunity through consistent improvement. On viral moments, they can define you, or you can redefine them. Marcus could have let the humiliation destroy him. Instead, he used it as motivation to become better. On organizations, the test of a company isn't whether mistakes happen, but whether they create systems to prevent recurrence. Castellano Entertainment Group could have issued a shallow apology. Instead, they invested in real change. 5 years after a security guard blocked Michael Jordan from his own VIP party, the story isn't about the block. It's about what happened next. The conversations, the decisions, the investments, the growth, the choice to transform instead of destroy, the understanding that one viral moment could ripple outward, teaching hundreds of thousands of people about accountability, grace, and systematic change. That's the story that matters, not the moment of failure, but the months and years of choosing to build something better from it. What do you think about how Michael Jordan handled this situation? Have you ever witnessed or experienced a moment where someone with power chose transformation over punishment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into moments that changed industries, lives, and systems. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Sometimes the most important stories aren't about perfection. They're about what we do when things go wrong. This was one of those stories. Thanks for watching.